I wouldn't even say it was like the worst. It is corny as fuck though, because he's corny as fuck because he's like a 14-year-old fucking boy. He loud. But he literally did entering Twitter HQ, let that sink in, the meme. And he literally just he walked into Twitter HQ with a fucking sink. Like, honestly, I would have laughed. Even now, I'm kind of smirking. I hate him for it, though. I hate that he makes me, like, actually laugh at anything that he's done. It's so dumb. Because, you know, it will mean, like... Because, like, again, he acts like he's coming to save freedom of speech. Which I absolutely agree, too. Like, that... You know, he claims to be a free speech absolutist, and that's bullshit. Man has literally tried to silence women. He lies all the time and tries to silence people. It's not new. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. That was like someone's job to, like, I think it was like a reporter, and it's gonna be like the corniest story ever, but it is funny. But like someone was like, who's the intern or staff member who had to go get that sink? Then like, please reach out to me and talk to me. Just kind of funny. Fucking Shaq, shut up. I like Shaq too. Excited to see what you can accomplish here, but like, yeah. Oh, great. Already with the cringe memes. This is what they're all like saying, that like he's gonna come and like get rid of like all the people suspending him and stuff. Yeah. This poor woman, by the way, who is very reasonable and normal, is just made into this face. Somebody should check in with her. Yeah, Chief Twit now. He is a twit. I do think there will be some changes. I think overall, with what he's trying, or not what he's trying to do, but with trying to make money, which is, and there's a lot of leftists saying too, like, oh, well, he's not actually trying to take money because he doesn't, and this is like leftists saying that like, it's all going to go to shit, by the way, not like people in his defense, but like, that people are going to like he's going to start like banning more trans people, or not like getting rid of transphobes and stuff, which is definitely a possibility for a while. You know, I'm gonna look at chat in a second, because Twitter's mod team has been largely ineffectual for a lot of things. They let libs of TikTok, and it's probably gonna like now be even more emboldened here. But like the fact that libs of TikTok is still on, even though it's literally doing stuff to like, and Matt Walsh, for instance, for them to like push stochastic terrorism onto people, and dox people. You know, I don't think some of that status quo will change. However, I believe, and I gotta double check, but I believe he took about $10 million dollars out of stock, of assets of Tesla, just to get it, as well as getting other people's financial support. So if you don't think that he's going to want, and the leftist argument has been, or rather leftist people on Twitter saying that like he doesn't care about the money, So he won't care about ads and stuff like that, and just he wants a platform where he can spew his bullshit, which there's truth to that. But he, okay, I will in just a sec. But that doesn't mean that like he didn't take out money from people and that he's going, and he doesn't want to fail either. His ego is too big for that. So there's still going to have to be moderation. I'm going to find that he's probably going to have to concede to other things that he does not want to. Anyways, we can get to this article. Let me read what you wrote, Wolf. Complete freedom of speech includes hate speech. Yeah, no, agreed. Calling for violence against communities, making death and terrorist threats, and other horrible shit. Yep. What we need is a right to criticize the government and or state, or anyone for that matter, to ensure that we have the right to question authorities and or corpos when they're fucking up. Yeah, so I've mentioned too that he's literally a billionaire. Like, why wouldn't he care about money? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Xeron. And I think that's going to be his biggest failing. That's funny. I didn't get you. I got to look up you, but I saw this. This is neat. That's sweet of them. I do like this. These photos that you have back here. This is really cool. By big tech companies, you'll need to look up the village of Skokie. Yep, Skokie. There's a National Social Party, aka the Skokie Affair. Yeah. Actually, I was going to talk about, because I've done. Hold on. I'm in a freedom of a freedom of speech course right now. It's actually really interesting. I've actually talked about, this is a big part of what I'm reading about too. And I mentioned it before. I didn't realize how many and this is not them, this is a Nazi party, but actual communists and socialists were a big part of why our freedom of speech laws are so strong. But it's actually really interesting because a lot of people don't really understand how the First Amendment is thought about by the court. They always hear the unabridged, no form of speech should be unabridged by Congress, right? But the interpretation of that is that, like, that what the courts deem speech can be very different. And a lot of the ideas of speech are, is it for democracy? Is it for, like, advocating policy and politics and the marketplace of ideas, which is where that term comes from by the court's interpretation of the First Amendment. And there's good and bads about it. But part of where America tends to be pretty behind is that it doesn't try to suppress speech generally. It has, obviously, in the past, which is how actually our freedom of speech laws did become stronger, because of bad people and good people. Bad people like Nazis and KKK members, and dope, cool base people like communists, who were pushing on that rhetoric. And a lot of what the communists were pushing on are obviously anti-capitalist thought, which was trying to be suppressed, and what they viewed as threats to the government. and people like the KKK and Nazis for hate speech. Problem with hate speech is where the American Supreme Court has viewed speech going into threats or being of an imminent threat or danger. And that's generally where the courts currently lie on speech that is able to be prohibited. Hold on. I'm going to look at chat in just a sec. My friend was just calling me. Okay. Freedom of speech in the US is a clusterfuck of loopholes and bigotries? Yes, it is. Well, feel free to hate on black people. That the Red Scare was the biggest violation of the First Amendment in US history? Yes, it was. But it is actually, that said, because of that, it actually strengthened our freedom of speech laws now because of communists winning Supreme Court cases. It is not, Wolf. It is not. It is totally legal to carry. Which, that's one thing that I find very implicit of a imminent threat is things like the swastika used in this fashion. I don't mind if like a Muslim person or Hindu person, or rather a Hindu person, is using a swastika for religious purposes or in their home. It obviously the context of which means something completely different. But yeah, Illinois Supreme Court held that the display of swastikas did not constitute fighting words, which needs to be said to somebody directly in front of them, and be attacks on character or words meant to intimidate, which then makes it no longer protected. And thus enjoining of that speech was an unconstitutional prior restraint. I always forget prior restraint. It's a form of censorship that allows the government to review the content of printed materials and prevent their publication. Okay. The Illinois decision would set the foundation of later hate speech cases. This is actually good for me to read up on again. Like I said, I have a midterm coming up next week. The case had a complicated journey from the Cook County Circuit Court, which enjoined members of the National Socialist Party, Nazis, from conducting demonstrations in the village of Skokie, Illinois. Went to the Illinois Appellate Court, which denied the application for stay pending appeal, and then to the Illinois Supreme Court, which denied the petition for stay. One of the first hate speech decisions, what would become an ongoing debate over the constitutionality of limiting hate speech. But yeah, it's pretty gross. Oh, but let's hold on. Was that the one that you were wanting me to look at, or we're gonna get back to Musk here in a sec? Oh, is it this one that you were talking about? Image unrelated. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm a coke addict. Total coke addict. Coca-Cola addict. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a coke addict.
That's great. I needed that. Thank you. All right. So let's take a look at this. Welcome to hell, Elon. You break it, you buy it. You fucked up real good, kiddo. Twitter's a disaster clown car company that is successful despite itself. This is true, by the way. It can never even become profitable. Many of these companies currently can't. Yet they still try to obviously get ads to increase profitability. Twitter's a disaster. And there's no possible way to grow users and revenue without making a series of enormous compromises. Yeah, that will ultimately destroy your reputation and possibly cause grievous damage to your other companies. By the way, I would love to see like reactionaries and stuff get upset that like people, they're still getting censored. And then like he loses favor amongst reactionaries as well. That'd be great. Although he's, you know, his diehards are just on another level. So I say this with utter confidence because the problems with Twitter are not engineering problems, they are political problems. Twitter, the company, makes very little interesting technology. The tech stack is not the valuable asset. The asset is the user base. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's fun parts about Twitter, but it's definitely the people there making the content. Hopelessly addicted politicians, yeah. Reporters, celebrities, and other people who should know better but keep posting anyways. Yes, thank you. You, Elon Musk, are addicted to Twitter. You're the asset. You just bought yourself for $44 billion. The problem when the asset is people is that people are intensely complicated and trying to regulate how people behave historically, a miserable experience, especially when the authority is vested in the single powerful individual. What I mean is that you are now king of Twitter, and despite hold on, let me. Oh, I'm just doing this. Personally, are responsible for everything that happens on Twitter now. It also turns out that absolute monarchs usually get murdered for when shit goes sideways. Here are some examples. You can write as many polite letters to advertisers as you want, but you cannot reasonably expect to collect any meaningful advertising revenue if you do not promise those advertisers brand safety, which, if all of y'all remember what was happening on YouTube. Right. And that was the adpocalypse, right? Seeing how much more I'm going to cover until we switch over to gaming, because it's nearly 7 now. Didn't start until like 4 though. That means you have to ban racism, sexism, transphobia, and all kinds of other speech that is totally legal in the United States but reveals people to be total assholes. So you can make all the promises about free speech you want, but the dull reality is that you still have to ban a bunch of legal speech if you want to make money. Yeah. And when you start doing that, your creepy new right-wing fanboys are going to viciously turn on you. This is what I hope. Oh my God, Wolf. But yeah, by the way, do you have me on Steam? Hold on. Oh, wrong one. I can't remember if you have me, Wolf, or not. If I can't play on here, I'll do it on the other account on here, but... Yeah, here's my link. You can use that and add me from there. I work tomorrow. I don't want to. At least it's not until later. I do hope that a lot of the creepy rightoids do turn on him. I'm sure he's gonna always have the people that love to suck his cock, but just like they turn on every other social network that realizes the same essential truth. Yeah, this has happened also with Parler. If I remember right, that's probably what they're going to be talking about. Oh yeah, so Trump's social network is rapidly banning users it doesn't like without telling them why. Also, I gotta check that out again. We gotta make a whole video about that because I have my Truth Social account. Q Truth followed me. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna follow Q Truth. I gotta keep on making myself look real. Those libs. Those libs crying so hard. Hold on. We can download that shitty meme that I just saw. I love it. Truth it out, baby. Update it, yeah. Can this go on Android now or no? Because it wasn't available on Android, now it recently came to desktop. Oh, it is on Android? Yes, gotta install it. I gotta find like good shit, and we can make like some TikTok or YouTube video over it. Nice. I have it for my my phone now. Hell yeah, Devil Duck. Also, follow my Truth Social account. Of course though, don't out me. I am undercover. This is my Chud account, okay? But if you want one, just don't out me, okay? Because that's exactly what it is, Wolf. Okay. Actually, there's a step before trying to get that ad money. It turns out that most people do not want to participate in horrible, unmoderated internet spaces full of shitty racists and not all men fedora bullies. I love the author. This is why Twitter is so small compared to its peers. It is small. It's funny because it's small, because like Twitter's so very weird because like now it's like my favorite social media, but it didn't used to be that way. I didn't know how to really use it as like an egg user. It was mostly just for, you know, retweeting stuff or looking at news, and that's how a lot of people use it. But then there's like the people that are on Twitter, like myself, or Kat, and it becomes way more fun once you start getting into smaller groups, which kind of goes with the exact part that we were just talking about with like, you need to, you are the content, you are the engagement, which is with pretty much any social media, but like, while it's the smallest, it still is like, you know, like what Elon says, you know, the town square, but it is legitimate where a lot of conversation starts now, even if it's still the smallest. People often have TikTok or Instagram and stuff aggregate tweets and show you tweets on those platforms, but a lot of discussion is still made on Twitter. What most people want from social media is to have a nice experience and to feel validated all the time. They want to live at Disney World. So if you want more people to join Twitter and actually post tweets, tweetoid, you have to make the experience much, much more pleasant, which means moderating more aggressively. Again, every alternative social network has learned this lesson the hard way, like over and over and over again. Same thing with Parler, by the way. They fucking hate it there because, and if there's no libs here, all the fucking right wings, libs or leftists there, all the right wingers are gonna like be bored of it. Also, everyone crying about free speech conveniently ignores that the biggest threat to free speech in America is the fucking government, yeah, which seems completely bored of the First Amendment, yeah, as currently we're seeing book burnings and people banning discussions of queerness, of being gay, of saying your pronouns, of being able to talk about these things, or critical race theory, which is being like actually banned. And what all these people that want free speech on Twitter don't want. They don't want that, and they want to be able to say slurs online and be racist. Which seems completely bored of the First Amendment. They're out here banning books. Elon, President Joe Biden, and former President Donald Trump have identical policy positions on Section 230. They both want to repeal it. Which, reminder, Section 230 is the sword and shield. It's gotten criticism from multiple sides of the government. There are good things and bad things about it. Part of what it does is protect people like Twitter from being a publisher, so it doesn't come with the legal complications of having to defend anyone's position of whatever they write online, but in turn must have moderation settings, or must moderate. That's what they call the sword and the shield. It's actually meant to protect companies, and it does so very well. But it's also what generally allows us to be able to enjoy social media and use it, because otherwise the liability is all on these companies. Now, in a not so private setting, if like the internet was, all open source and like free or whatever, this really wouldn't be Section 230 would look different. But so yeah, do you know why? Because the First Amendment prohibits them from making explicit speech regulations, and they keep threatening to repeal the law that allows social networks to even exist in order to exert indirect pressure on content policy. It's not subtle. State governments are even less subtle. Both Texas and Florida have passed speech regulations that overtly tell social media companies how to moderate, which is insane. Okay, sounds good, Wolf. See you in a bit. Which I'm not, like, there's certain things I wouldn't mind telling a company what to moderate, like hate speech, which is not, again, is protected for the most part in America. But telling people to not do hate speech and having to moderate that would be a good thing. However, people saying that you can't censor things like that, which is more of what we see, and other shit like that, I really is scary and not good. It is a legal problem because these laws are blatantly unconstitutional, and the only appropriate response to them is to tell the government to shut up and go away. A big problem here is the courts are pretty stupid about the internet. This is true. A challenge to these laws, particularly funded by Twitter, is headed to the Supreme Court. Which is the polar opposite of a predictable system. It is a group of uncool weirdos with lifetime appointments that can radically reshape American life, however it wants. You can't deploy AI at this problem. You have to go out and defend the actual First Amendment against the bad laws in Texas and Florida, whose taxes you like, and whose governors you seem pretty fond of. Are you ready for what that looks like? Are you ready to sit before Congress and politely decline to engage in their content capture sessions for hours on end? Are you ready to do any of this without the incredible, respected policy experts whose leader you first harassed and then fired, which he fired today? This is what you signed up for. It's more boring than rockets, cars, and rockets with cars on them. It gets worse the second you leave the United States. Yes, and there are other freedom of speech laws that people like Germany and stuff like that do impose through Twitter. Germany is a huge market for Tesla. Are you going to flaunt Germany's speech laws? I would bet not. The Indian government basically demands social media companies provide potential hostages in order to operate in that country. You can't engineer your way out of that shit. Are you ready to experience the pressure Twitter faces in the Middle East to block and restrict accounts? Are you ready for the fact that Iranian government will fucking murder people over their social media posts? Yeah. Are you ready for how Twitter is being used by Iranians protesting the government right now? Are you excited for the Chinese government to find ways to threaten Tesla's huge business in that country over content that appears on Twitter? Because it's going to happen. Yeah, this is going to be way more of a headache for him. And he's going to try to act like it's not a big deal to him, but we know it is. The essential truth of every social network is that the product is content moderation. Yeah. And everyone hates the people who decide how content moderation works. Content moderation is what Twitter makes. It is the thing that defines the user experience. It's what YouTube makes. It's what Instagram makes. It's what TikTok makes. They all try to incentivize good stuff, disincentivize bad stuff, even though they're not great at that. And delete the really bad stuff. Do you know why YouTube videos are all 8 to 10 minutes long? Because that's how long a video has to be to qualify for a second ad slot in the middle. That's content moderation, baby. YouTube wants a certain kind of video, and it created incentives to get it. That's the business you're in now. The longer you fight it or pretend that you can sell something, the more Twitter will drag you into the deepest possible muck of defending indefensible speech. And if you turn on a dime and accept that growth requires aggressive content moderation and pushing back against government speech regulations around the country and world, well, we'll see how your fans react to that. Anyhow, welcome to hell. This was your idea. Yeah. No, this is absolutely true. I don't think... I think it's going to be a lot of PR issues for him. I think it's going to be something that he may eventually want to try and get rid of, but he's too ego bent on letting that fully happen. Okay.